Hi, I'm Claire and welcome to Genrewise, news from the world of science fiction, fantasy and fandom. I am so excited to launch Genrewise. I've been wanting to do a show about SFF news for a really long time and I decided to finally take the plunge in 2019. Genrewise is going to be a fortnightly show, so that means there's going to be a new episode every other week. I'm going to aim to release it on a Sunday evening, and in the alternate week I'm going to be doing my usual bookish videos. Today we're going to start by looking at awards news, then we'll move on to books, then fandom, then film and TV news. And finally we'll look at a few miscellaneous pieces of news that I've chosen to categorize as IRL news. For each of the items that I'm highlighting, I'm going to give you a rundown of what happened, and I'm also going to link to more information and more in-depth articles in the description box below, so you can always check in there for further reading. First up today we've got awards news, starting with the Golden Globes, of course, which were given out last week. With mainstream awards like this one, speculative works don't always get recognised. I personally think that The Good Place and Black Panther were both robbed, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won the Best Animated Film Award, so that is pretty exciting. In genre-specific awards news, the second stage of the BFSA Awards is underway. This is a yearly award that's given out by the British Science Fiction Association, and we are officially in the shortlisting stage. However, the list is not that short. It's in fact quite extensive. It's got over 100 nominees across the 4 categories. The judging panel for the Philip K. Dick Award have announced their 2019 nominees. The PKD recognises distinguished science fiction that was first published in the US in paperback, and the award itself will be given out on April 19th at NorwesCon. The All Fantasy subreddit have announced the winners of their annual Stabby Awards, and I, for one, I'm delighted to learn that Martha Wells will receive this awesome engraved dagger trophy for Artificial Condition, the second Murderbot novella. It won Best Short Work. Trophy's very appropriate. Finally, the nominating period for the 2019 Hugo Awards has just started and will be open until March 16th, 2019. In addition to its usual categories, recognising the best work of science fiction and fantasy of the previous year, the 2019 ballot will include a special Hugo Award for Best Art Book, as well as the Campbell Award for Best New Writer and the new Lodestar Award for Best Young Adult Fiction. If you're eligible to nominate for this year's Hugos, you should already have received an email with a unique link giving you access to your online ballot. I already got mine, so I know they've started arriving. As a side note, I got a few requests to do a Hugo Awards nomination primer kind of video, and I'm already working on it, so that should be coming out soon, and if you've got any questions about the Hugo Awards or nominations, please do leave them in the comments below. I'd love to address them in that upcoming video. Next up we've got book news, and since it is the start of a new year, I'm going to open this segment by sharing with you the many most anticipated books of 2019 lists that I've put in my eyeballs over the past couple of weeks. There are loads of exciting book releases coming up in 2019, and if you'd like to find out about some of them, I have compiled a playlist of most anticipated booktube videos that I really liked, as well as my own video, of course. You can find that in a card on the side, as well as in the description box below, where I'm also linking to anticipated book lists over at Tor.com and Book Riot. Finally, I was super excited to be part of a roundtable chat on anticipated 2019 books that happened over at Lady Business, where we shouted out over 80 books that will also be linked below, of course. Next up, Tor.com have revealed the cover for Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, one of their most hyped releases of 2019. This one comes out in September, and they've been describing it as lesbian necromancers in space. I was already so excited for this book, but look at how gorgeous and badass this cover is. Shout out to the artist, Tommy Arnold, and the designer, Jamie Stafford Hale. It is beautiful work. And finally, in book news, Mur Lafferty's Sixth Wake is now available to purchase as an ebook in the UK. In spite of being a finalist for many awards last year, including the Hugo and the Nebula, the book was still unavailable in the UK until Lafferty produced and released an ebook edition in mid-December. So if you're a UK-based SFF reader and you missed it last year, you can now get your fill of clone space murderiness. Next up, we've got some fandom news, starting with a few Worldcon updates. The third progress report for Dublin 2019 is now out, with information on programme, accommodation and parties at the con, as well as a supplement containing the World Science Fiction Society Constitution and a Hugo nomination ballot, which you can print out if you would prefer to send in your nomination by post rather than using the online form. The deadline for that is it should arrive by March 15th. Dublin 2019 have also opened hotel bookings, so if you're attending the convention and you still need to find accommodation, you can now book your room at the convention's discounted rate. At the time of this recording, it looks like nothing has yet sold out, but according to a tweet from Dublin 2019, which was posted a few days ago, accommodation close to the convention centre is rapidly booking out. There's still plenty of room in the city of Dublin. So if you were considering getting a room through the convention booking links, I would recommend doing that quickly. January 2019 marks the 10th anniversary of Racefail 09, which was a sprawling discussion of race and problematic depictions of race, which took place in a bunch of interconnected corners of fandom in early 2009. A lot of this conversation happened on LiveJournal, a lot of this conversation happened in SFF book fandom, so for me, as someone who wasn't really in those specific corners of fandom at the time, it's been super interesting to see discussions of the legacy of Racefail that we can see 10 years on, including with things like bringing in convention panels to discuss diversity and representation and where we're at with those now, encouraging more people from marginalized backgrounds to nominate for major SFF awards and the effect that that's had, and also the founding of Con or Bust, a non-profit which helps fans of colour attend SFF conventions. Speaking of Con or Bust, co-founder Kate Nepva is stepping down from her position on the board of directors after 10 years of service. The organisation is now seeking candidates interested in joining the board for a 3-year term as director, where they could help shape Con or Bust's future and help it continue its work. This is an organisation that I've supported and donated to for some time, and I wish them the best of luck with their search. In transformative fandom news, the charity fanworks auction Fandom Trumps Hate is back for another year, and is now officially open for signups if you'd like to offer some writing, some art, or your services as a beta reader. This year, Fandom Trumps Hate is supporting 12 smaller charities doing vital frontline work to protect marginalized and vulnerable communities. And all of these charities have an annual revenue of under $10 million a year, which might sound a lot, but is actually quite small for the amount of work that they do. Aside from donating to great causes, FTH always generates heaps of great new fanworks, and it's a fantastic opportunity to commission works from your faves who may not even take commissions outside of a charity auction. Now in film and TV news, Netflix have announced Shadow and Bone, an 8-episode series based on Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse. Eric Haserer, who also wrote Bird Box for Netflix, is listed as creator, writer, and showrunner for the new series, and it will bring together canon from the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. So if, like me, you've been snoozing on these books, it might be time to catch up. By now I'm sure that everyone and their nephew has seen the new special look at Captain Marvel that was released this week, featuring Carol Danvers getting her sass on, as well as being a stone-cold badass as usual. We also get more young Nick Fury and a young Agent Coulson. I'm so excited for this film already. Also, Samuel L. Jackson mentioned in a recent interview that the movie is as much an origin story for Nick Fury as it is for Captain Marvel, and I am 100% here for that. We also got a trailer for a new show by Jordan Peele and Charlie Sanders, who worked together on the acclaimed comedy series Key and Peele. The new show is called Weird City. It's going to be an anthology series, and it looks completely bananas, so I kind of can't wait. Since we're talking exciting trailers, I also need to shout out Netflix's upcoming series Siempre Bruja. This one features a 17th century witch who gets somehow transported to 2019 just as she's about to get burnt at the stake. I love a witch story, I love a time travel story, I'm a sucker for the person out of time trope, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for this one. And finally, HBO have announced the principal cast for the Game of Thrones prequel series that is due to start shooting this spring. In addition to lead actor Naomi Watts, they've revealed 8 new cast members, including Naomi Ackie, Jamie Campbell-Bower, and Geordie Henley. They've also confirmed that the pilot will be directed by S.G. Clarkson, who previously worked on Jessica Jones, which sounds pretty good to me. Moving on to what I'll call real-life news because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. In a slightly bizarre turn of events, the publisher holding the rights for the Choose Your Own Adventure books that many of us read as kids is suing Netflix. They are claiming that the use of the phrase choose your own adventure in Bandersnatch, the latest episode of the dark sci-fi anthology series Black Mirror, is in breach of their trademark. So far, I've only seen this reported by pop culture and media journalists, but I'd be really interested in hearing a copyright lawyer's opinion on this because the case seems a bit more complex than is generally reported. Next up, we've got good news for Tolkien fans in and around New York City. The Tolkien Maker of Middle-earth exhibit, which debuted last summer at the Bodleian Library in Oxford, is moving on to the Morgan Library and Museum in New York City from January 25th to May 12th, 2019. In addition to quite an extensive looking exhibit, there are a series of lectures and events that are listed on the Morgan website which you might be interested in checking out. And if, like me, you're a European-based Tolkien fan who missed the exhibit when it was in Oxford, you may be interested in checking it out in late 2019 when it moves to the Bibliothèque Nationale de France in Paris. I am certainly considering a weekend trip to the BNF myself. And finally, IMDb have just launched a new streaming service called Freedive, where you can watch dozens of films and TV shows. It doesn't have any new releases and is only available in the US at the moment, but on the bright side it is free to use, though it does, of course, run adverts. So that's it, this was the first episode of Genrewise. I hope you enjoyed it and please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you voting in any of the awards that I mentioned? What did you think of those trailers? And are you planning a trip to see that Tolkien exhibit? Those are important questions and I would like to know your answers. If you like the new show, please share it around. I worked super hard on it and I'd love for as many people as possible to see it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in a couple of weeks for more science fiction, fantasy, and fandom news. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.